Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97.
Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message.
Right now at noon, 2 Atlanta police officers swiftly fired after tasing and arresting 2 college students. The mayor and police chief saying their decision all came down to what they saw on the officers' body cam. Arrested protesters facing a judge for the first time today. What they're being charged with.
11Alive News at noon starts now.
Everyone, I'm Sheba Russell. We begin with the now viral tasing and arrest of 2 college students pulled from a car during the protests in downtown Atlanta. 2 of the officers involved are now fired. The police body cam video released, and we want to warn you, it is graphic. Atlanta's mayor and police chief calling it excessive force. Andy Parati walks us through the video and the city's quick response.
Messiah Young attempts to record cell phone video of someone screaming and on the ground under arrest. It's 9:45 Saturday night. An officer asks the Morehouse College student to drive away and then get out of the car. Young keeps going. Officer Ivory Streeter catches up with him. Another officer then starts hitting Young's car window with a baton.
Open the window!
On the other side of the car, officers surround Young's passenger, Tania Pilgrim, a Spelman University student. Officers ask her to get out, but the car is still moving, so Pilgrim pauses. Officer Mark Garner then deploys his taser. Back on the other side of the car, officers think Young is reaching for a gun. Seconds later, Officer Streeter fires off his taser, shocking Young for nearly 10 seconds. Young had no weapon.
We don't know what you hear. We hear a taser going off right now. We're not sure who's being tased.
11Alive reporter Hope Ford witnessed it live.
Sorry about that. I just heard the officer say all you had to do was show your hands. You almost got shot.
And this was one that kept me up all night as well.
Chief Erica Shields took action quickly, firing Officers Streeter and Gardner on Sunday.
And as we watch the video today, it became abundantly clear immediately with the young woman that this force was excessive.
These are good guys. I know them as individuals. I've worked with the one for over 20 years. But they made that level of mistake that cannot be rolled back.
City officials asking for forgiveness while demonstrators continue to protest against similar police brutality.
And I know that we cause further fear to you in a space that's already so fearful for so many African Americans. And I am genuinely sorry. This is not who we are. This is not where we're about.
And Chief Shields says she'll ask the Solicitor and Attorney General to determine whether criminal charges should be filed against the 2 fired officers. 3 other officers are now on desk duty pending further investigation. Mayor Bottom says she hopes to personally apologize to the 2 college students soon. So how did we get here? The growing protests all across the country sparked over the deaths of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Ahmaud Arbery in South Georgia, and Breonna Taylor in Louisville. Thousands marching to speak out against police brutality and systemic racism, calling for action and change. The attorney who represents the families of all 3 announcing on Twitter he will not allow police brutality to slide. Today, the Office of Lee Merritt is launching StopExcessiveForce.com to respond to all civil rights violations across the country. The website will allow you to file a complaint with his office. Day 3 of the protests in Atlanta, and demonstrators were once again confronted by police outside Centennial Olympic Park, throwing bottles and other objects. Right around 9 p.m. when the curfew began, police used tear gas to clear the streets. Protesters scattered, some arrested, and then things began to calm down. We should mention, for the majority of the day yesterday, the protests remained largely peaceful. This is video from a large group that protested near Atlantic Station. They laid right there in the middle of the road on the 17th Street Bridge. You can see hundreds of people there. The group then made its way back to Centennial Olympic Park. For the first time, some protesters arrested in this weekend's demonstrations are making their first court appearance today. A total of 64 people were arrested last night, far fewer than the nearly 170 arrested the day before. Nick Sturdivant has the details.
This morning, some of the protesters that were arrested made their first appearance in front of a judge. According to the Fulton County Jail, the charges range from pedestrian in roadway disorderly conduct to even inciting to riot. As of midnight, Atlanta police told us officers made 64 arrests during Sunday's protests, considerably less than the nearly 160 arrests the day before. Going through jail records this morning, some have already been released. This is video we got last night around 10:30 at the Waffle House at Cortland and John Wesley Dobbs. We saw about 20 people that were arrested at one point in the night. Officers had to deploy tear gas, but around 10 o'clock, there were hardly any protesters left in the area and no real reports of damage. And Atlanta police told us that they will be ready in case anything pops up as far as demonstrations, protests this week.
All right, Nick, thank you. And yesterday, the city tried to alert people about the curfew earlier than they were able to on Saturday. Nearly 200 were taken into custody on Saturday again, some saying they didn't know about the curfew. Among them, a father staying at a hotel downtown who says he was just going to get diapers for his baby, and that's when he was picked up. Deborah Tuff spoke to the family.
She had to wrap the baby last night in a towel because he didn't have diapers, to keep him from being wet.
A mother forced to go without diapers after her fiance was arrested trying to go to the car to get them. The family in town to see the child's extended family in Georgia.
I'm super angry. I could not breathe. I haven't slept all night. I could not breathe.
This grandma, who lives out of state and is a longtime police officer herself, flew down to Georgia Sunday. She says her son doesn't have a record and says he was only doing what any good father would, trying to take care of his child.
They said they're charging everyone who broke the curfew with disorderly conduct.
The couple came to Georgia with their 5-month-old son so relatives could meet the baby. The family says they hung out for a while. Then the young couple took an almost 2-hour road trip back to their downtown Atlanta hotel. But when they got inside, realized they left the diaper bag in the car.
When he got outside, I called, he didn't answer. I found out they tear gassed the front of the hotel, took him, we found his phone outside.
The family says they called the Atlanta jail to find him, but alleged the staff became increasingly agitated because they said he wasn't there, but he was.
They put them under the wrong name. And
what's even more frustrating for the new mom, grandma, and great-grandma, they say the baby suffered.
Oh, no car, no milk for my baby, no food for my baby, no diapers, nothing.
And the family says they were unaware the city was shutting down.
You don't even know there's a curfew. But when you illegally arrest somebody, that's where I got a problem at. Now I got to get a lawyer. Now I got to get this off my son's record.
A lot of folks having to hire lawyers today. Let's take you to some of the scenes, the protests playing out all across this country now. Protesters angry again over the death of George Floyd while in police custody. Fiery demonstrations happening in at least 100 cities across the nation. Jay Gray has the latest on what's happening in Minneapolis.
This is the neighborhood where George Floyd was killed exactly a week ago today. We want to give you a firsthand look at the devastation here, and you can see this intense fire really burning away most everything here. There is some metal left, some of the brick and concrete that survived here, but for the most part, this entire community really gutted, and a fire that leapt up 4 stories, as you can see here. Now, what we saw overnight here was people coming out, people starting to clean up, people trying to deliver some good news to areas like this one. What we also saw for the first time was no real violence, no fires overnight. There were dozens of arrests here, but overall, those were for curfew violations, not for the things that we had seen over the last several days. So officials here believe things trending in the right direction. Today, though, will be a different day. They do expect protesters out again, peaceful protests, and they expect larger numbers today. It is the week anniversary of Floyd's death. It could be very emotional, especially in this community. That's the latest from here in Minneapolis. I'm Jay Gray. Back to you now.
All right, Jay. And tomorrow, the music industry will unite in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. Industry-wide, record labels have taken to social media to announce Blackout Tuesday, a day for unity with Black employees, artists, and fans to evaluate ways to move forward. The labels will make donations to organizations fighting racial injustice. Coming up, we're hearing from city leaders after this weekend of protests in Atlanta. City Council President Felicia Moore joining us live with her reaction as another protest is supposed to spark up very close to City Hall this afternoon.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscast, not enough.
Let's get you caught up on the latest COVID-19 cases statewide right now. According to the State Department of Public Health, there are now more than 47,000 confirmed cases with just over 8,000 hospitalizations. So far, just over 2,000 people have died. The state easing more restrictions starting today. Gatherings of more than 25 people are allowed as long as you keep at least 6 feet away from each other. Practice social distancing. Professional and amateur sports can also return to practice provided they follow the rules of their respective leagues. And the one a lot of people have been watching and talking about, nightclubs and bars can reopen. And lastly, overnight summer camps reopened on Sunday.
We have an update now for a story we first told you about back in March. That was when Terrence Lester of the nonprofit Love Beyond Walls launched a special campaign amid COVID-19 to bring the basics of hand washing to those experiencing homelessness right here in Atlanta. You may remember that Facebook post. More than 2,000 of you liked the idea. Well, since then, the mission has taken off, spreading far beyond Metro Atlanta.
All at once, everyone all around the world was experiencing the pressure of the coronavirus. I came up with this idea to literally launch this campaign that would provide people experiencing homelessness access to the basic human right of soap and water. And so we started installing portable hand washing stations right here in the city of Atlanta.
For Terrence and his team, it turns out Atlanta was just the start.
We've spread to 17 cities in Alabama, and California, and Georgia, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey.
The Love Sinks In campaign traveling cross country, gaining community and corporate support. The installation of hundreds of sinks, improving access to basic hand washing, and inspiring hearts along the way.
I think it touched people's heart because not only were people living on the streets not having access to like a roof or somewhere stable to shelter in place, but on top of that, they didn't have access to soap and water.
A campaign launched amid a crisis, initiating a wave of compassion and new awareness.
This crisis has caused us to really see the lack of access and the disparity that many people face all around the country. And for this moment, we saw how we all needed each other.
Over the past few months, the nonprofit has also gained more than 25 partnerships. And Terrence tells me that the latest partnership they have on board will allow the nonprofit to install 1,000 hand washing sinks across the country.
Live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household.
Well, today marks the beginning of a new month, and the calls for justice and equality growing louder even as we turn the calendar. Joining us live right now is Atlanta City Council President Felicia Moore. Good afternoon to you, Felicia.
Good afternoon.
So we know another protest is kicking off at City Hall within the hour. It's supposed to start around 12:45. And I know you're just learning about this. Their flyer says that they're calling for a hate crime bill to be passed, an Obama policing initiative to be implemented. How feasible is this?
Well, I do know about the 21st century policing initiative that the Obama administration made. I know that some of those things are in place now, and I will be more than happy to listen to what is not in place that we certainly can do on the city, state, or county level. And I believe that we're going to have to look at all of the ways and processes in which we do things and meet the challenges of today.
We should point out that you're not at City Hall today. So as we're watching all of these demonstrations around the city over the last 3 days, how do you think our city and the state has handled all of it?
Well, I think that we have certainly learned and doing better as we go along to make sure that particularly there's no violence and property destruction. I think the police are meeting the challenges that they have in all cities across the country. I'm talking with my colleagues from across the country, and we're all having the same issues and trying to deal with them in the ways that we can. And I think the city is certainly meeting the challenge.
Has anything been decided yet on how to help those businesses out that were hit over the weekend?
Well, as far as I know, that the Invest Atlanta is the entity that the city uses, an economic development agency. The mayor did mention that they are going to be working at some way to maybe be able to assist, particularly some of the smaller mom and pop shops that may not have access to capital.
Okay. The other controversial thing that has happened is the firing of those 2 Atlanta police officers who tased and arrested the 2 college students. Your take on this swift decision by the mayor and the police chief?
I think that it was done in a way to be able to help address the issue because it was a horrific issue. I watched it live on TV, and if I had pearls on, I would have choked myself because my heart was just going out of my chest. And I think it reverberated not only in the city but across the country. And we certainly want to make sure that we address these issues quickly. We don't want to add to what is already frayed nerves from people across the country and this city.
Yeah, a lot of sadness, outrage, disappointment, not just here in Atlanta, but around the world.
Exactly.
We spoke a bit about change when you joined us for our special coverage yesterday. What can the city council do specifically to make change?
Well, the city council, and I know members are already working on it. The protests and some of the topics that they're talking about are part of it. Again, as I said earlier, we are the policy-making body of the city, and we need to look at our policies in the city and those things that people have asked us to look at it before that we have not seen clearly or found our way to get around to. Now is the time to do it. I don't think that we can all go back to things as normal. Mm-hmm. We have to think in a new way and making sure that our police officers are well engaged with our community, that we create and heal those disparities. And we also have to deal with the issue no one wants to deal with. It's an uncomfortable one, but we're going to have to really deal with the issue of race. And I want the city of Atlanta to be in the civil rights movement and era to be the leader in that discussion.
Yeah. So as you're preparing for a full city council meeting that starts at 1 p.m.,
yes.
You're saying that public comment is invited.
Yes. Now, the public comment period, which we take, ended at noon. I understand we have at least about 43 people who have called in for public comment, so and considerable number of people have left messages, and I know my email box is being filled up with people sharing their. So there's always ways to reach your Atlanta City Council. And as we move through this COVID-19, which I hope people do not lose sight of, particularly for social distancing and wearing your mask and that kind of thing while they're out there protesting, as we move back into City Hall at some point in time, we will continue to engage with our public and find ways that we can move the city forward.
All right, step by step, that meeting held virtually as we are still in a pandemic. City Council President Felicia Moore, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Wes, let's turn it over to you with today's weather.
We started off this morning really comfortable. Lower 60s, 50s out there for some of us. We are warming up quickly outside. Now let's take a look at just how warm we're getting, especially south of I-20 and into central Georgia, where temperatures have made it into the 80s already. It's 81 in Peachtree City and in Thomaston. Surprisingly, Atlanta is not one of the warmer spots when you take into account the entire metro. Usually that happens. We warm up very quickly at the airport because of all the concrete nearby. It's not happening. It's 76 outside right now in Atlanta. It's also 76 in Athens and in Duluth and Carrollton. Rome is at 79 degrees. This morning we started off really cloudy. I mean, especially over noon, it almost looked like it was about to start pouring at any time. But look at the last 4 hours. We've cleared out a lot of those low clouds, and we're now underneath a mostly sunny sky. We're going to stay sunny today and sunny tomorrow as well. And we're also going to stick with the low humidity thanks to this area of high pressure and where it's situated. Northeast wind today, highs in the middle 80s. However, we'll switch up that wind direction to out of the southeast. That'll pump in the moisture, and the humidity is going to be returning as we get into Wednesday and onward. And when we add the humidity and the heat, we're going to get the summer pop-up showers and thunderstorms, and that's really going to start to become evident kind of Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and into Sunday. So today, tomorrow, comfortable conditions in terms of humidity. As the humidity increases, the temperature will increase, and it's going to be pretty muggy outside. At 10 on the wazometer for today, it's a scale from 1 to 11, where 11 is a perfectly seasonal day. Today is forecasted to be a perfectly average day, but I had to knock it down 1 because of the clouds. 85 for a high in Peachtree City and in Thomaston, 70s in the mountains. Here's your 7-day forecast. 88 tomorrow. Then we're pretty much near 90 every single day. Our overnight lows go from 63 tonight to near 70 by Saturday and Sunday. It is going to turn muggy by the end of this week. Sheba.
All right, Wes, thank you. Still ahead here, Amazon making major changes to keep its drivers safe amid the protests. Their plans moving forward.
For $97. Are you doing this to help people, or are you doing this to make money, or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11Alive, with
Uproar in cities nationwide impacting when you receive your packages. Amazon says it has adjusted routes or scaled back deliveries due to ongoing unrest over the death of George Floyd. The e-commerce giant says it's a move to ensure the safety of its teams. It did not elaborate on where or how much it would impact delivery times. Target closing more than 100 stores nationwide, including 2 in Buckhead. This is video from a fire at the Target on Lindbergh over the weekend. Several Target stores were looted amid the protests. The company says it is focused on employee safety. Workers impacted by the closures will still be paid for up to 14 days of scheduled hours. And CVS is also taking measures to ensure its employees' safety. It's closing some of its stores across 20 states. CVS tells us today it does not have a complete list of the closed stores at this time. The pharmacy chain says while several stores have been damaged, no workers were hurt during the protests. Patients will be able to reroute their prescriptions to other nearby CVS pharmacies that are still open. And remember, you can find the latest on the protests and updates on coronavirus. It's still out there on our 11Alive app. Thank you so much for watching 11Alive News at noon. I'm Sheba Russell. Please do stay safe out there.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.
In times of great uncertainty, some things become more clear. The things we take for granted, the people we depend on daily. Here at 11Alive, we'd like to say thank you. First responders, medical staff, sanitation workers, truck drivers, postal workers, and every brave Georgian doing their part to make a difference. We see you, we hear you, and we appreciate all that you do.
Let's start with a viral message going around. Quote, vast majority of people who died had ibuprofen Advil in their system. This message is fake.
We just bought 20 dust masks for $97. Are you doing this to help people or are you doing this to make money or both?
Both. Take this email sent to the Verify team. Is it safe to have your house cleaned by outside workers? The best practice is to limit guests to emergencies only.
We know things are changing every day, but we're here with you. Continuous COVID-19 coverage during prime time. We're committed to giving you facts, not fear. On 11Alive News Primetime, weeknights from 8 to 11 on WATF.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Today at noon on 11Alive.
We are seeing that lack of smell or altered taste can be a symptom.
We answer your coronavirus-related medical questions. Because 11Alive is where Atlanta speaks.
Televised newscasts not enough for you? Get even more at 11Alive's YouTube channel, where you'll find uncut interviews, extended body cam footage, live streams of Atlanta's biggest trials, and more. Subscribe to 11Alive today.